Hi, everyone. Welcome back to this week's little chai chat. We are going to just dive right in today. So starting with number 1, ask me anything about decluttering. This one comes from my friend Elizabeth, and she wants to know, what do you do when you have too many clothes, but they're too nice to just give away, but I am too busy to sell? And I know for a fact she's too busy to sell because she is in law school. So she's a busy woman. Okay, so this is a tough one because there's no possible way to sell things without it taking time. So the little piece that I want to zone in here on is when she says they're too nice to give away. What does that mean? We all think that. I think that too. I remember I had this Kate Spade purse and I was like, this is too nice to just give away for free, to just donate it or put it on a buy nothing group, right? It's too nice. There's this thing in our heads where we tell ourselves that we're being irresponsible or wasteful if we don't get our money back on a certain item that feels like it's just too nice. And we have to kind of redefine this idea of too nice. And not just redefine it, but maybe come to terms with the fact that that is a very abstract and potentially kind of pointless phrase. And I say that with all the love because I've been there too. But you have a choice here. If you think it's too nice to give it away, but you are too busy to sell it, well, those are your only two options. You can sell it or you can give it away. You cannot do both. So you have to decide which two, too nice or too busy, is more important to you, or more realistic, or the least flexible, because we can't have our cake and eat it too. And too busy generally is going to trump too nice. If you have to choose between the two, we can't really get around being too busy. Now, do I believe we can make time for things that are important for us? I really, really do. I have an episode of the podcast about making time for decluttering because I really believe it is a prioritization problem, not always a time problem. Although, of course, some of us literally do not have enough time, and I respect that. But a lot of the times we do find time for the things that are important to us. So it's a matter of figuring out, why isn't this that important to me? If taking the time to sell something isn't that important to you, that you're willing to make the time to do it, then maybe you don't actually need the money as bad as you think, because you're alive right now, especially those of you listening to this podcast. Like, you probably can survive without the $50 or $100 that you would make on a good day from whatever you think is too nice to just give away. So you're not adequately motivated because you don't actually need that money in order to survive. And if you don't need that money in order to survive, then is the item too nice to give away? Could you reframe it and think, this is an opportunity for me to be generous because I can get away without needing that $100 in my life? Wow. What a privilege to be able to say that, and an opportunity for me to be generous towards someone who wouldn't be able to pay that kind of money for this item. So $100 for an item of clothing, getting that back is probably pretty high, but we're probably looking in the $30 to $50 range is what we think we can get from a nice item of clothing. And even that, you're going to be hard pressed, because it's not like back in the day where people are used to shopping secondhand, where the quality is unbelievable, right? We have so much access to clothing at our fingertips at the click of a button that people are not as willing to get it secondhand from someone else unless it's pretty much free or like a very, very low cost. And is that super low cost worth your time and effort? A lot of the times for us, it's not. Again, this is not across the board, but these are just things to consider. So I would say here that, what do you do? If the question is, what do I do when you have too many clothes that are too nice to give away, but you're too busy to sell? Well, what you do is you assess if they're actually, quote, too nice to give away. Because if they are, then you would have the motivation to find the time. So if they're not, then you have to just remind yourself there's no magical answer here. You either donate them or you sell them. So maybe it's a mindset shift about what it means to give something away, and let that change your consumption moving forward. I love you so much, Elizabeth. Thanks for adding that. That's it's a tough one. I get it. Okay. Question number 2 for this chai chat is, ask me anything about myself. And Megan kind of just gave this broad question that I thought was kind of fun as we try to connect human to human here during chai chats. She said, tell us about your upbringing. I love that. It's like super open-ended. So I'll just give you an overview. I was born in San Diego, California, and my dad was in the Navy. He flew F-14s for the United States Navy. So we moved a bit in childhood. I lived for a year in Newport, Rhode Island, then back to San Diego. And then out to Virginia Beach when I was about 8 years old. And then we ended up staying there through his retirement, so we didn't have to move again. My older brother is 21 months older than me, I believe, exactly. And so we're really, really close. My parents divorced when I was about 11 years old, and they both remarried relatively quickly. So my mom married my stepdad. I was like 14 or 15. I was a sophomore in high school. And before that, my dad married my stepmom when I was 13. And my dad and my stepmom had a baby. So I also have a little brother who's my half brother. He's 15 years younger than me. And yeah, I had a pretty charmed life growing up. Both of my parents are very hard workers, very stable. My step-parents were very stable, very kind-hearted. Of course, every family has its own little like dramas here and there. But my older brother is my best friend. I love my little brother with my whole heart. He's 22 now, I think, which is insane. I was in musical theater growing up a lot. My dad was a singer and did musical theater. And so we did that together. And I have wonderful memories of like singing together at last from Annie in the backyard and our neighbors like clapping, you know? And so we did a lot of community theater together growing up. And my brother did it with us too. He's a very talented piano player and singer. And so our favorite thing to do as a family to this day is gather around the piano and sing show tunes. I was a horseback rider growing up. And if you guys remember the episode of the podcast I did about growing up in a cult, this was kind of separate from my family to a large extent, but I did grow up in an extremely controlling religious organization. And I'm really grateful that my family, it's complicated, so you can listen to that episode. I'll have it in the show notes, was in a way very separate from that because my home life was quite healthy, even though my social life had some constraints around it that, especially in adulthood looking back, were extremely unhealthy. So I kind of had to start over with friendships, a lot of them when I turned 18, or I was almost 19 when I left. But a lot of my friends that I was best friends with growing up, they also have left that organization. So we have that really, it's like a trauma bond, honestly, but we're just still really, really close even in adulthood. And I'm very grateful for those lifelong friendships. So I had a great childhood. I was not popular. I ran for student council in elementary and middle school, and I never won because I think I was kind of an annoying kid. I was overly eager, and I've never been able to be anything but myself. And I think that has served me well in adulthood, even in this podcast. A lot of you say it's nice to hear my authenticity, but it's funny because I'm not trying to just like be authentic, right? Like I don't know how to not be animated when I speak. And when you're younger, that is not a great thing when you kind of stand out. And when you aren't able to, when your heart is on your sleeve, you're not able to fit in very well. I'm not very good at fitting in. And so I would eat lunch by myself in middle school in the bathroom. I'll never forget it. And I think I also did things that, without meaning to hurt other people, I don't want to pretend that I was like this perfect bullied child. You know, I think I was outspoken and immature. And so there was a lot of that growing up. So of course there was regular turmoil in life. And I would say that I was very much like, I didn't ever have anyone to sit and eat lunch with. So like in high school, I always took extra classes, so I didn't have a lunch period, that kind of thing. But that doesn't mean that I didn't end up finding really wonderful friends who accepted me for all my flaws and were kind too, you know? So, but anyways, I don't, that's my broad upbringing. I have a wonderful family. My mom passed away when I was 24, as you guys know, and my stepdad actually passed away this last summer, right after we got to see him. We were driving from Florida to Alaska and we saw him, and he passed away 3 days later. It was pretty wild. So lost him and my mom, but my dad and my stepmom are obviously a huge part of my life. And I'm grateful for everything that has led me to where I am today. All right. Number 3, a listener decluttering win. Tammy says that she styled a pair of pants so she doesn't have to buy another one for upcoming travel needs. Yes, I love to hear it. We don't always need new stuff. We can just restyle and reuse what we already have. Amazing, Tammy. And on the same kind of note of not being over consumers, Sarah said that she is reducing what she's bringing in. She wrote, any new clothing means that something else leaves too. Such a good habit to get into. So well done, Tammy and Sarah. Love those decluttering wins. On to number 4, our listener recommendation of the week. This comes from an email I got from a listener named Beeb, and she's awesome. She wrote this long email when she heard that I got a stain on my favorite sweatshirt. I shared, it was actually in one of my ads about how I got a stain on my favorite Fabletics sweatshirt. And so she gave me this long email of all the ways to get out oil stains. It was awesome. I was like, thank you so much. So I'm going to just read a piece of it in case you want recommendations for how to get out stains. She wrote, so for greasy stains, I use Amodex, and I will have this linked in the show notes, and wash on the hottest temperature the fabric can handle with Oxiclean powder and Tide Pods. For a bad stain, what I do is start the washer, and once it's begun its cycle, I pause it and let it soak overnight and then resume the load in the morning. If it is a delicate fabric that needs to be washed in cold water, then I use the liquid version of Oxiclean in lieu of the powder. And she said she settled on her current stain removal products after reading recommendations from this certain New York Times article, which I will also have linked in the show notes. So thank you so much for that recommendation, Beeb. And just my final thoughts today are that sometimes I feel like life gives us exactly what we need. I've been kind of going through it personally, just with so much overwhelm with my book and working with the publisher, and not everything is like perfectly smooth sailing there. Not that it's bad. It's just there are roadblocks that I didn't anticipate, and moving through that while also trying to wrap my head around Finland, since our family is moving, to Finland this summer, and managing my kids' emotions and the logistics and all of the things. I have felt extremely overwhelmed, not to mention, of course, this podcast and all the things I do for work, which I love, but it takes a lot of time, right? And I'm not going to get into details because it is a little bit personal, but something happened where I felt all of a sudden really reconnected to my husband and really focused on what's important in life. I think we all need a little kick in the high knee sometimes. And it's sometimes the hardest moments. And for me, this is faith driven, but the hardest moments that God uses to bring us peace. It's ironic. And I'm grateful for the hard thing that happened recently, because I feel like it drew me closer to the people that I love. And so I just want to encourage you not to be afraid of the hard parts of life, but to see how they bring about the good and focus on that. Because we're so fortunate when we get that little shakeup in life. I think that's important. I don't want to be comfortable, because comfort can breed disconnection. So that's just what's been on my heart. And I don't know what that might mean to you today, but I hope it means something in your world. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. You just listened to an episode of Paring Down with me, Shannon Leyko. Please don't forget to hit follow or subscribe, and I will love you forever and ever if you leave a 5-star review, because those reviews are so helpful on the back end of things. And for more resources about decluttering and intentional living, sign up for my short weekly newsletter, The Less Express, which you can find in the show notes, and follow along on social media. Just look me up. I'm Shannon Leyko, Leyko. Thank you so much for listening.